Now on your day, a fiery first and final face-off.
He has never met an oil company that he doesn't swipe right about.
But John Fetterman thinks the minimum wage is his weekly allowance from his parents.
Senate candidates taking the stage and taking shot.
Who can you believe that can fight against inflation and pushing back against corporate greed for somebody that is choosing working in China versus over American workers?
When John Fetterman brings up houses, the irony is he didn't pay for his own house. He got it for $1 from his sister, and he hasn't been able to earn a living on his own. He's lived off his parents. So it's not a topic that we should be debating.
Both using this primetime showdown to vie for votes before Election Day. A very interesting debate, and now Election Day is just 13 days away.
From abortion to inflation to the economy, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Dr. Mehmet Oz tried to rally support. Our John Shumway is back with us with a look at some of the answers to topics that many you at home are talking about. These are hot topics, John.
No doubt. And Brianna, you said interesting. That may be the understatement of the day. This was amazing. Hour long, the candidates traded jabs, but also attempted to reach voters. Let's start with the topic of abortion.
There should not be involvement from the federal government in how states decide their abortion decisions.
If you believe that the choice of your reproductive freedom belongs with Dr. Oz, then you have a choice. But if you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between you and your doctor, that's what I fight for. Roe v. Wade, for me, should be the law. He celebrated when Roe v. Wade went down, and my campaign would fight for Roe v. Wade, and if given the opportunity, to codify it into law.
All right, next let's turn to the issue of surging gun violence.
I run on my record on crime. You know, I ran to be mayor back in 2005 in order to fight gun violence, and that's exactly what I did. And working with the police and working with our community, I was able to stop gun violence for 5.5 years as mayor. Ever accomplished before or since my time as mayor, because I'm the only person on this stage right now that has was successful about pushing back against gun violence.
Part of the problem is that we have taken away the ability of police to do their job, and that's on John Fetterman. Because John Fetterman has taken such a harsh position against them. He's undermined them at every level, taken away some of their funding. He's pushed for Krasner, who he admires tremendously, and he's spoken highly of him just this week. He's taken his policies to a new extreme. He's argued that people should be let out of jail without any bail, no matter what they did to get in there.
How about the topic of the economy?
John Fetterman's, however, response continually is to raise taxes. He raised taxes as mayor. He tried to raise taxes as a lieutenant governor, 46%. That's a big tax rate. He supported Joe Biden's recent tax rate increase.
So we need to fight about inflation, right now, because it's a tax on working families, and Dr. Oz can't possibly understand what that is like. He has 10 gigantic mansions. We must push back against corporate greed.
And a simple question for both of the candidates. What makes you the best candidate to be Pennsylvania's next senator?
I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania. Here's a man that spent more than $20 million of his own money to try to buy that seat. And this campaign is all about, to me, is about fighting for everyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down.
Washington keeps getting it wrong with extreme positions. I want to bring civility, balance, all the things that you want to see, because you've been telling it to me on the campaign trail. And by doing that, we can bring us together in a way that has not been done of late.
Now, the lieutenant governor also argued that he is able to serve despite suffering a stroke back in May. At the start of the debate, he addressed his health condition and that he might miss a few words during the contest in the wake of his stroke. But he was able to use closed captioning for a couple of things. One, he could see the questions and he could read Oz's answers if he needed. Now, there were a lot of other topics that they discussed, and we'll talk about those coming up.
Yeah, it's amazing to think how much more can be discussed after all the wonderful topics you discussed.
Right.
But hey, it was very heated, very passionate. You can just hear just from those brief clips.
Without a doubt. Now, did it change anybody's minds? Who knows?
We'll wait and see. Still got some time. John, thank you. So in the newest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll, the lieutenant governor leads 2 points over Dr. Mehmet Oz. But the margin of error on this poll, plus or minus 4.4%. And today, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman will be holding an event at Stage AE. He will be joined by Dave Matthews for a performance, a Get Out the Vote rally. That begins at 6:30 and it is free to attend.
Now, the independent candidate for U.S. Senate has dropped out and is supporting Lieutenant Governor Fetterman. In a tweet, Everett Stern wrote, "I am polling around 3%, which places democracy at risk. In the interest of protecting the U.S., I am dropping out of the Senate race. I fully endorse John Fetterman." But new this morning, a concerning report about voting here in Allegheny County.
Our Chris DeRose joins us live with what a group says is stripping rights from voters. Chris, good morning.
Brianna, Lindsay, good morning. Yeah, the ACLU here in Pennsylvania has sent a letter of concern as of yesterday to the Allegheny County Division of Elections Manager David Voy. There are two issues that they want addressed, and they are as follows. The first issue involves a printing error that saw an unknown number of mail-in ballots missing the voter declaration on the outer envelope sent to some voters in Allegheny County. Of course, mail-in ballots returned without a signed and dated voter declaration are considered ineligible and will not be counted. The second issue involves hundreds of mail-in ballots that were returned as undeliverable. The question is, what are county election officials doing to follow up with voters whose ballots were returned? The ACLU wants the county to look into these two issues and contact the voters who are missing the declaration envelope and ensure that the undeliverable ballots have the correct addresses on them. Now, as of this hour, there is no word from the county election offices, but we have reached out to them and we are hoping for a response. And the ACLU letter that I spoke about is actually on our website, kdka.com, so you can read it for yourself. Of course, we'll keep you up to date with all the information as it comes in. But for now, reporting on the North Shore, Chris DeRose, KDKA News, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. And KDKA is your campaign 2022 election headquarters. Look for updates leading up to Election Day on air at kdka.com and inside the CBS Pittsburgh app.